That's a really good question.
You asked fantastic.
Yes. Great question.
That's a great question, Ike.
Man, that's a good question, bro.
What's up, everybody? This is the Ikesinspirations podcast, and today I have a wonderful guest named Gus. Gus is a real estate investor who has found a lot of success purchasing properties. And today we're going to talk all things real estate and, just learn about his story, where he came up, and how he got to where he is today. So, Gus, can you do us the favor of introducing yourself to the audience and, giving a brief story of who you are?
Hey, yeah, of course. And I appreciate being on your platform. So my name is Gus Ofili. I was born in Bridgeport, Connecticut. As a kid, grew up in Waterbury, Naugatuck, Connecticut. My dad came over from Nigeria when he was fairly young. He was about, I think he was like 19 when he came over to the States. He went to a university, Sacred Heart University. He met my mother there at the university. They had me. So unfortunately, my mom had to drop out, but my father went on to go ahead and still pursue his dreams as far as schooling and everything like that. So if you know anything about a Nigerian household, it tends to be a little strict. So yeah, things other kids were able to go ahead and do was frowned upon.
Yeah,
in my household, education is the highest form of anything in the Nigerian culture. So
for sure,
read your books, get straight A's, this and that. So that's the household I grew up in. I eventually graduated high school. I started working with him. He owned his own insurance agency at that time. He recommended I go to college. I really didn't want to go to college. Next thing you know, my mom signed me up and I was in college. So, and ended up going to college in Maine, and Maine is where I reside now.
Cool.
This may sound bad. I didn't even know anything about Maine. If you showed me the map, I couldn't point out where it was. I remember we were driving Connecticut to Maine. We're about 3 hours in, and I remember my parents telling me it's about 6 hours to get in. Get to the line over Maine, I'm like, oh, we're almost here. We're crossing the line. We go another 3 hours, and I'm just seeing woods. I'm like, where are we going? Yeah, I'm never getting back home. You know what I mean? So I came up here. I got my associate's degree, got my bachelor's degree. Then I jumped into the banking world. My dad, like I said, my dad's an entrepreneur. My younger brother's an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
They were telling me, go the entrepreneur route, but I had no idea how that even worked. Go in school and everyone's telling you, yo, you get a job right after. And you hear about the folks who went to school before you. He got a job here. He got a job there. He's making $80,000. He's making $120,000. So I'm like, all right, let me just get a job.
Mm-hmm.
I applied to so many places, and I got a comfortable in Maine, so I never looked outside of Maine. I was scared to take leaps. So I would only apply to places around the area, and it got to the point I just took a job at it was for the Bank of America. I took a job as the guys with the headset, what are they called? A call center.
Call center. Yep.
I took a job at a call center, college degree, and I took a job at a call center. But my mentality was, all right, I'll just start here, and then let me see where it goes. Else is giving me a chance. I remember I had an interview with Walmart, and they were like, and I never had much interactions with adults. And I believe you're Nigerian also, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So with adults, we're never really having conversations. It's mostly they're telling us what to do. Yeah. Then I move on to college, and I'm with all people my age.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to an interview. I'm scared because I've never had communication with someone who's older. And keep that kind of conversation going. So they're telling me, we just felt you were a little scared in the interview. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually good at, I can be good at this. So I work at the call center. I grow gradually. I start to get confident because I know once I get in the door, you're going to
kill it.
I'm pretty good. So, I get in there, go gradually, and then it was time for management position. Now, if you hear the rumblings around, they're saying Gus. Then I tried my first time. I didn't get it. I was like, all right, maybe, whatever. I tried my second time. I didn't get it. Try my third time. I didn't get it. I'm like, are they trying to play me? Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, and then that's when I reflected. There's individuals who've been there 25, 35, 25, 20 years. And I'm like, is this something I want to do for the rest of my life?
Mm-hmm.
I was just doing this to reach up, make more money.
Sure.
Something I could see myself doing 40s, 50s, 60s. I got a phone call that day. And this is going to sound repetitive. It's repetitive if you ever saw me on other platforms because it's the truth. I got a phone call with an older individual who's living on Social Security and retirement, and they weren't able to take care of the bills. You know what I mean? So I sat back, I'm like, damn. So my girlfriend at the time, her brother-in-law was a closing attorney. So when I met him, he told me what he did. I still had no clue what he did because I never ventured in that life. Mm-hmm. And he was like, the only thing I heard was real estate. I was like, real estate? Yeah, that'd probably be really cool to do. So I was thinking of maybe, what if I jump into some form of real estate? Either I still work my job and I buy an investment property, something along those lines.
Sure.
So I started looking at investment properties. And I was looking at duplexes, for the bare minimum because, I couldn't really dive into real estate like I do it now at that time because I had no knowledge. I just know, hey, maybe I get a building and try to generate money. So then I started getting to them with bigger pockets, started learning more. And this is when my whole life switched. I found a place, and that place was horrible. I should have never put an offer in, but the agent was misguiding me because they just wanted a check. But I put an offer in. And then we started negotiating back and forth on me and the seller. And then I was like, oh, this is my calling right here. I want to be a real estate agent. And that's how my real estate agent venture started off, where I got into being a real estate agent back in the end of 2018. I've sold over 370 houses. And then in August of 2020, with, meeting so many people, investors, I brought my first investment property, and I currently have about 57 units in that period of time. So, just to summarize the end part, that's been my journey generalized.
Well, man, congratulations, and thank you for sharing your story. It was well said and articulated. I can completely relate to you coming from a Nigerian background, It's an interesting thing because it's either like, the typical, you're a doctor or a lawyer.
Yep.
Definitely a byproduct of it. I'm a pharmacist. And I honestly, looking back, I used to have a lot of resistance to it. But now looking back, I'm happy because of the discipline it instilled in me and the character that it made. So, even though I'm not too passionate about pharmacy, I like the character that I've developed, And so one thing that you said is you were a realtor, you transitioned into the realtor side, and you were able to make a lot of transactions. And once you started negotiating, there was something about you that you were like, man, this is it. This is for me. Mm-hmm. Can you describe more about that feeling? Can you just talk about that feeling more in depth? And what is it about negotiating that makes you so excited about real estate?
So before I jumped into real estate and we were going through that first property, now I didn't end up buying that property.
Oh, okay.
Because I got some information with some other people and they told me it wasn't a good deal. So I think that also helped me become a real estate agent just to represent myself. But so we put an offer in, and the counterpart, the seller's counters back. And then I was like, okay, let's hit them back with this. And then my agent gave them the information and they counter back again. And it was like, I got this rush, like, well, man, we're going back and forth. And it was I was at work too. So I would take my phone out of my pocket. I'll rush in the hallway. Selling will do X amount, da-da-da-da. And then I get a call later. I'm like, yo, this is something I like to do. And it was negotiating. There was no handcuffs on me. This is something where I felt I could reach my full potential, because if you got the gift, the gab, Scott, you could do whatever.
For sure.
You want if you're a good salesman. So another perspective I had to put it in is I was selling credit cards and balance transfers for the bank.
Sure.
And I'm getting $80,000 a year. The bank's making, Bank of America making billions and trillions of dollars.
Yeah.
So how much? I'm probably getting 0.00001 of what they're getting.
Even less, yeah.
But with this talent I got, there's chances I could get 80% of whatever that money that I'm able to negotiate comes strictly to me.
Mm-hmm.
So the bank's telling me, you're great. We want to fly you to an associate meeting with everyone else. But if I just do this and put the ball in my own hands, what can happen? So those were the things that led me to be a real estate agent. I met other real estate agents, and I'm looking at them. I'm hearing them talk. I'm like, oh, you ain't a hustler. You treating this like a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I'm a dog. I'm a dog in this industry. And that was the mentality. As soon as I started meeting more and more people, I'm like, whoa, this is
that.
Untapped.
Yeah.
Untapped. So,
yeah. And that's exactly what I'm talking about with that mentality of Nigerians. A lot of Nigerians I've met, like, we are hustlers. It's like we work hard. That's kind of what I mean. Less about the studios aspect, but more about the character and the discipline and the pursuit to go after what you want, which I think is a beautiful thing, man. And, it's just interesting that you talk about that story of negotiating, because I'm going to be honest, bro. I'm the opposite of you. I'm not into negotiation. I'm kind of like, this is what it is. Tell me what you want, and I'm willing to abide or do my best to fix your solution. I don't like the back and forth, but I understand some people are like that. Those are people who are more into sales. So it's kind of interesting that you're into that negotiation process. What about, are you still a realtor now, by the way? Do you still do it?
So I still am a real estate agent. I put in the first 4 years, I put in work. Now, all day, every day, I was on the road. But the goal was, and I heard this on the last post that you did from a gentleman. He said there's fast money, medium money, and slow money. The fast money, he was 100%, was the transactions.
Yes.
Doing a whole bunch of transactions to take that money and then put it in the investments.
Yes.
So when I'm making all the money, putting it in the investments start to grow as far as that cash flow.
Yes.
Now, I don't have to do the fast transactions, and we're seeing things start to teeter.
Yes.
So I think I went from my real estate career, I went from 50 transactions, 71 transactions, 104 transactions, 98 transactions, and last year I did 50 transactions.
Okay.
And this year I'll be around 30 to 50 transactions, more comfortable than I was when I was doing the 100, because I built my portfolio and I brought it right.
Yeah. The guy who said fast, medium, and long-term money, that guy was Dylan Osmond. Yeah. He's also from the Bigger Pockets community. And he told me that really resonated with me too. Started making me think how I can utilize that so I can kind of build a portfolio consistently, man. So, one thing I wanted to ask you, man, is, you've experienced a lot of success as a realtor, and you've been in this real estate investing game for quite a few years. Just in general, what do you feel like is the most difficult part about real estate investing that you feel like people don't talk about often?
The downtimes when it's just you and you're getting this information and you got to deal with it and it's on your shoulders. Yeah, I have a property management team, but, and this is respect to them. They're just doing what they're hired to do.
Sure.
If my castle destroys, they still got a whole bunch of other clients, what I mean? So that, I go through depression. When things aren't aligning, when I can't control it to make it go where it needs to go. And those are the times where you really find if you're really built for this business. And I can sit there with my wife, lay in bed, talk my face till I'm blue. She can't help me. She can support me.
Yeah.
I got to go through this myself. So
for sure.
I think that's one of the toughest things as far as investors. I had a situation.
Okay.
If you don't mind me telling the story.
No,
I had a situation where the sewer line went in the property. And then it needed it was a 4 unit. So there's 2 units on the bottom, 2 on top. So the 2 units on top, their toilets were coming up with sewer in it. So, I went down there. I met this prestige company around our area. They're like, Gus, you need to get this changed as soon as possible. The only time we could do it is on the weekend, and that's time and a half. And I was like, okay, how much is that? He said $27,000. Now, I want to let you guys know that hear this. There may be millionaires that $27,000 is nothing. I'm still climbing up. I'm good. Don't get me wrong, but $27,000, that's a good chunk of change.
For sure.
So I'm like, $27,000, boom. I'm in a bad mood. I'm in deep thoughts. I remember I used to see my dad like this. Sometimes he used to come back from work. He used to sit in his chair, just blank face. I knew he was in the zone. Something happened. Nigerian parents don't like to talk to their kids about everything that's going on.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
He was going through it. Same thing happens to me. It's like my gears are turning and everything is gone. So I had to I was like, well, time and a half. Well, can you guys do it on Monday? Now we're booked out in about a month and a half. I was like, that don't sound right. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That answer sounds like you're trying to get me. I don't trust many people. I want to put that out there. I don't trust people.
I understand.
But so I was like, all right, let me see if you know what? Don't worry about it. Book me for that later period of time, and I'll try to figure this out for myself. I had other people come into the building. We'll quote you $14,000. We'll quote you $14,000. Then I found a person who did it for $6,000.
Yes, sir. So you made a lot of calls.
100%. And that comes from going deep inside and trying to figure that stuff out. When that depression hits in,
yes,
and then you could overcome that depression.
Yes.
Get back and like, what do I need to do? And you get up, and it's like my brother's real big into anime. It's like when Goku beats up Vegeta, and Vegeta's laid out, and then he starts thinking about stuff.
I love him.
He powers back up.
Yeah. Go Super Saiyan.
Yes, correct. It's the same exact thing. And I was able to get 6,000. But guess what? I'm hyped. But who's really to tell? No one really cares. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just you.
Business. It only involves me. You know what I mean? But I'm like, yo, I took it from 27. But
here, Gus,
on avenues like this, I'm able to share that information. So we talk about the downtimes, but I want to give a twist to how those downtimes show if you really built to enjoy those good times.
Sir, I freaking love everything you said. Super inspiring, man. I kind of want to touch more about, you spoke about depression, and it's just interesting to me because I feel like a lot of men, we suffer in silence, especially as an entrepreneur. Like it's your own business, so no one's gonna care as much about it as you do. So, you're kind of going through this alone, and then chances are, if you're an entrepreneur, like it's a lonely path because you don't just come off of like having a bunch of entrepreneur friends. It's not the typical route, especially if you came in college, from college with both of us. So, my question to you is, how do you overcome depression, and what got you out of that rut so you can push through and save yourself $21,000?
I think I'm comfortable in depression. That's a weird thing to say. It's a weird thing to say, right?
Okay.
I with you, I heard something you said.
Yeah.
You said at lunch, you felt comfortable sitting by going to the lunch table by yourself.
Yeah.
I think how my parents were so strict and we had to stay in our house. We weren't able to mingle with people. I had to learn how to deal with things myself because I wasn't around individuals as much. Mm-hmm. So when I'm put in situations and I have to deal with them myself, I'm comfortable. Like, you know what I mean? Like, going through it, but I can figure it out because I've been doing this my whole life. So it's like you take the dip and you go back up, and you're able to go ahead and get through. To be an entrepreneur, I'm going to say that, to be an entrepreneur, you got to be a sick motherfucker. The reason why I say that is because everyone isn't an entrepreneur. How many people do you talk to are just fine with getting a check every 2 weeks? This is the marker. My family set is okay, or I'm making this amount of money. I'm fine. To be an entrepreneur is, I can lose everything tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
or I could go 100x tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you're manifesting in that business.
Yes.
That's what it takes to be successful in it. And if someone's telling you something else, they're lying to you.
No, I mean, the biggest thing about entrepreneurship is essentially you're living with faith. You don't know what the outcome is going to be like. You know, you're not working a 9-to-5 where you're guaranteed a check and everything is going to be equal. You're living by faith. And for me personally, I'm a very devout Christian, and I pray to God for that faith, that he leads me in the right direction whenever I'm trying to do business deals. Because at the end of the day, you never know how it's going to come out. You can come across people who are going to screw you over. You could come across a sewer line issue. But I feel like with faith, all things are possible. Through Christ, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I tell myself that every day. And I believe, I feel like that's something that you're constantly learning. Where do you get that sense of confidence? It's kind of like, I feel like part of being entrepreneurship, you have to have a delusional sense of confidence or optimism that you can do whatever you put your mind to. Where do you get that faith or that confidence to keep pushing forward?
So my brother has had that since he was young.
Mm-hmm.
I'm his older brother.
Okay.
I was more like, oh no, I don't. How you kind of said, oh, I don't bother the situation, or I would, or if I do this, people will get mad at me.
Sure.
My brother didn't care. He was like my father. I don't care. This is how it's going to go. Oh, he sucks. That he's like that. And I'm like, yo, he's me. I'm thinking my brother's me. Like, people's feelings. But then when I got to college, then I found I'm by myself. I'm building some confidence. It got me to like 25% confidence. Mm-hmm. I was still timid, afraid to do things. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until I worked at the bank and people were trying to keep me down and not letting me go to the next levels. And everyone was telling me, Gus, we don't know how you're not getting this position. Yeah. I was like, man, everyone's telling me this. I must be really good at this. And my brother would tell me, he would be yelling at, this is my younger brother too, yelling, Gus, you should be working for yourself. I remember when you were first grade and you brought Pixie Sticks, it's some candy, for 1 cent and you were selling it for 2 cents. Do you think anyone in first grade is thinking about that? And I'm like, all right. So as soon as I went to real estate and I took off, my confidence level went to 100. You can't tell me there's nothing I cannot do. Yes. It took me a while. Everyone finds their confidence level.
For sure.
It took me to be 32 years old to find my full-fledged confidence level, because I found something I was great at. Now I go around and I talk my shit because I got to. Because if you don't talk your shit, people think you're a walkover. And as soon as you let them know I know my stuff, you ain't doing that to me, they looking at you in a whole different light. And I'm glad I was able to see that with my brother. He's been the star since he was young. Wow. And to see that early on, and for him to come around when now I'm confident, please don't have us both in the same place at the same time. Man, Nigerian men tend to be confident.
I get it, man. We have that ego and that stubbornness to us. It's funny, man. It's funny that your younger brother inspired you. I'm the oldest of my family, so I feel like I'm typically inspiring them. But I'm just you're talking so highly about your younger brother. It just got me curious. Like, what does he do? Is he also a real estate investor?
No, he's a chiropractor.
Okay.
He has his own practice.
Gotcha.
I remember the time he said, we're from Connecticut. He graduated. He did his 4 years. He's like, Gus, I'm going to California. I was like, California? But I had no worries. Mm-hmm. He was going to California because I knew he was going to go crazy in California. Yeah. So he went to California, did his thing. Then he went to Florida. Now we're a little bit grown when he says he's going to Florida. And he's like, I just got to kill it. I was like, Paul, I have no doubt you're going to go down there and be a monster. And now he has seminars all across the country as far as being a chiropractor. But to have someone like that you can have conversations with on an everyday basis who's pushing you. And now I found my niche and now I'm able to push him. Yeah. It's making all of us. Yeah, I got a younger brother also. It's just pushing us all to be better.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. And that's honestly one of the things I like about entrepreneurship. I mean, the money is great, but I'm really intrigued by the personal development of the person. Mm-hmm. Like I'm like, something that I don't know, this is kind of weird. Like I like to do entrepreneurship, not just for I'm more interested in the type of person I'm becoming as a result. Like, for example, look at the level of confidence that you have as a result of becoming an entrepreneur. You know, you sounded like you were a lot more meek when you were working in the bank.
Yes, 100%.
Now you're like, I'm confident, man. Like, I can do anything. I'm so interested in that. And I'm also interested in the intellectual knowledge and experience that people have gained as a result of having unique experiences that most people don't have. And it seems like you have been able to learn a lot, and as a result of getting a bunch of W's, now your confidence just keeps growing and growing and growing, and you feel like there's nothing you can't do, which is awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that comes along with it. I think also when on this journey of life, when you're trying to find out who you are,
For sure.
you're gonna fail a lot of times. I mean, there's personal stuff that I failed at, you know, whether I was young in college and I thought, you know, if I'm being completely transparent, I thought I could drink with the other guys. And then one time I go to the hospital because I drank too much, and I'm like, okay, so I can't do what these other guys are doing. You know what I mean? Or I'm doing it too dumb. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm talking about, you know, I did this in real estate. There's a bunch of losses that come along with it.
Sure.
Finding yourself, the bunch of losses, whether it be in relationships, whether it be, you know, we talked about work, whether it be networking with people. I will say this, I'm as much as I'm confident as what I do and interviews like this, and when I'm in real estate, when I'm in networking events, I don't really like those. I tend not to go to those things.
Yeah.
Why? Because I think there's real value, but I think there's a lot of fake value. And I'm the guy that just wants to get to the point. What are we doing? Yeah. It's a lot of, so Gus, you know, how are you doing? And with this individuals, this is just how I feel. They're really trying to size you up. They're really trying to know what you're about so they can find what you're insecure about or what you're weak about. And they want to use that against you. That's how I feel.
No, it's okay, man.
How I create my life right now. If I don't let you involved in my life, you're gonna be watching on social media. There's individuals who want to meet me and do all this, and I keep them at a distance because I see that people get close to you just from life experiences. Yeah, full circle with this. They use things against you once they know your weaknesses.
Yeah. So with those type of people that you don't trust or you don't want to get too connected with, you're like, go follow my IG or something.
Yes, or they'd be like, hey, can we meet up? I'm like, yeah, let's jump on Zoom. You know, like you're like, yeah, can you get a cup of coffee? Like, you know,
I feel you, bro.
Make me want to be like, okay, this is someone I want to actually go out and meet. You know what I mean? Because you want to talk business with me or you want to pick my brain or whatever it may be, whatever your intentions are, don't think I'm going to let you in my door, into my space, that free will.
Yeah, man. And so, man, I peeped your social media and, just talking to you and your grind and your come up, it's awesome. I've noticed that you seem like you went through a lot, you know what I'm saying? Like, you seem like you had to make a lot of sacrifices to get where you are today. Do you want to speak more in depth what you felt like you had to give up to kind of start building this empire and in having this family that you have today? What did you feel like you had to what were the sacrifices required to get to where you are today?
Sacrifice, time, definitely.
Okay, for sure.
One is
for sure.
When I was an age, I was on the road 24/7. People calling me at 9:00. Hey, Gus, we want to see this place at 10:30, and I'm picking up all my stuff and running to go ahead and do it. So time was definitely a big one. Sacrificing who I am. You know what I mean? I felt like when I got in the game, I don't want. Obviously, this is going to be out in the public, but I feel like I'm in an area where I'm the only one that looks like myself, and I'm not real big on this subject, but I know it exists.
For sure.
I never say, because I'm this, I can't do it.
No, for sure.
I never have that conversation. But I know, because I'm this, there may be hurdles in front of me.
For sure.
I know if I come off a certain way, doors will be closed on me sooner than it would be closed on someone else.
Yeah.
So at the beginning, this is how my life's kind of always been, because my father he put us in these situations. I went to private school.
Okay.
So
Same.
individuals don't look like me in
For
those
sure.
spaces. So once they meet you, and they're like, "Oh, he's one of the nice guys." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't see you as someone they hear bad things about, or the guys they see in the TV. I'm wearing slacks and button-up shirts, but guess what? I listen to certain type of music.
Sure.
I enjoy the culture that's out here. But it's like, if you show those things, people feel a certain type of way. Or if you show confidence fairly early,
Yeah.
you feel you're a threat.
Mm-hmm.
This is me being honest, man.
No, dude, you ain't.
They feel like you're a threat.
Yeah.
But if you peel it back and you don't seem like you're a threat, they'll open the door for you.
Yeah.
And I felt what I sacrificed at the beginning is, yes, yeah, smiling and all that. And then when I got in the door, that's when
I
put the mask on. And it was like, it's time to go. I'm learning everything that's in the house. You can't learn outside the house.
Yeah.
Get in the house.
Yeah.
Once you see how everything works in the house, they were like, oh, he's not who we thought he was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's speaking like loud. He's doing this. He's doing that.
Yeah.
Sacrificing who you are to get to where you are. I wish I was able to, right from the door, this is me, this is who I am. But with all my experiences, that's where I learned. Sometimes the door doesn't open as wide as when you're one thing compared to the other.
Yeah, man. I went to a private school too. It was predominantly white, and I'm kind of with you. I'm not into talking about race as in a frame of victimhood, but the reality is, being dark skinned, it can definitely hinder you. And one of the biggest things about business, any type of business, is developing trust with people. You know what I'm saying? It's just that simple, that whatever transaction you're doing, they trust you to give you money, or they trust you to sell that property or whatever. And I feel like the reality is, sometimes being dark-skinned can project some type of image that, hey, he might be very aggressive or braggadocious. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely understand where you're coming from, bro. But I'm glad that you don't let that hinder you. If anything, to be honest, I love to see people like you doing that, because it inspires me, and I think it makes your story even stronger and more powerful, in my opinion.
So I had a conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
And I said I was with my contractors, and because I post stories about what we're doing as far as rehabs and stuff like that. And I was like, why is it locally in this area, because I'm in a small area, I'm not in New York or Chicago, I'm in a small area. Why is it that when I'm posting about stuff like this, and I'm giving a breakdown on the property, how much I brought it for, how much I sold, people take it like it's boosting and bragging? And why is it that the people who are outside of this area, sometimes individuals who look like me, take that as inspiring, like he could do it, I could do it?
Yeah.
That's the part I don't understand. And he's like, bro, we're just old fashioned,
Yeah.
You're not used to someone saying or showing success in the way you do. But I'm not showing it to beat my chest. I'm showing it because a lot of people been seeing my journey from the beginning, and I feel like I'm putting it out, and I want people to be inspired that you could do the same thing. Whether you go contact me or not, reach out to someone. This is obtainable.
Yes.
Before, when I worked at my job, I didn't even know any of this was obtainable. You know what I mean? I just knew I could do it, but I didn't even know behind the fence all the stuff that comes along with it. So now that I show people, it's either people are like, man, screw him, he keeps on winning and we don't like him. Or it's, man, I like what he's doing. I want to reach out to him or reach out to someone I know, and I want to do the same thing. Mostly in my area, it tends not to be the inspired. It tends to be more the hate. And I wish it wasn't like that, because I'm never posting or putting information out there to belittle anyone or anything along those lines. I want to help as much people, and I want a story to be told.
Yeah.
Put your mind to it. You could do whatever you want on this
for sure
country that we live in, this great country. People like to downplay. This is a beautiful country.
I agree.
with a great opportunities to do whatever you want.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, one of my favorite things about living in America is the opportunity to excel and acquire anything you want. You know, it's like it's the American dream. And, you know, people can look at it one way or bad. I mean, the wealth disparity in America is crazy, but I do feel like the wealthiest people are people like you who go after what they want. You know what I'm saying? And there's going to be some people who'll be like, oh, well, why is there so much poverty or this or that? But then you can also flip that perspective and often associate that those people who are doing really well are often providing value. I mean, look at Jeff Bezos, man. Yeah, like whether you hate him or not because he's a billionaire, dude, I use Amazon all the time. Like he's helping me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's kind of how I look at a lot of wealthy people. I just find them doing a really good deeds and offering a great value to people. You know?
Yeah, and I'm thinking more, what is he doing? You know, how did he get there? I want to have a conversation for 20 minutes, like to pick his brain, like, what does it take to get to that particular level? Sure. I don't look at it as like, I hate this guy. I don't like this guy because he's well. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense to myself.
Yeah. And often people like you're doing the hard work. I feel like the people who are complaining or hating, they're usually below you. I've never came across a hater who was above me or doing better than me or just. I feel like people who hate have time on their hands, but people who I feel like successful people don't have time to hate. And he's like, all right, cool. Like, I don't like whatever. Just move on and do whatever they're busy with. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
But we see that even on Instagram, people leaving comments. You could see like a 3-year-old baby just holding an ice cream. And then you see some comment, yo, that baby got da-da-da. I'd be like, man, that's crazy. Like, I wouldn't even waste my time commenting on stuff like that. But it blows my mind. So I found the property off market.
Okay.
I was introduced to the situation. I think I built up my name. I put stuff out on social media. Once they found out who I was, they looked me up and knew I was the real deal. So when I'm doing podcasts like this, that's why I definitely want to make sure I'm coming off a certain way. Like, I'm not here to BS. I'm not here to waste any time. I'm here to do business and do good business. So, they saw that. That's one of the things the lady said to me. She's like, yeah, we looked at you online. We saw one of your podcasts. We knew we had to call you. I'm like, oh, okay. That makes it more easier. I don't got to
sell yourself.
Convince them on the phone. They really, they got a good idea. So, originally it was just a 4-unit building that I was talking about. And then she goes on the phone and she starts saying, yeah, in that 4-unit building, in back of it, we got 2 single-family homes. And then we got this another partial land. It has a 4-unit, a single-family, and 2 duplexes. And I'm like, what? Yeah, I'm like, okay. And she's like, well, can I see it? I said, when do you want to see it? Can I see it tomorrow? She's like, yeah, we can get it all organized and you can see it and we could talk about it. I was like, okay, so you're looking to sell everything? She's like, yeah, we would want to sell everything in one swipe. I'm thinking, okay, if this all works out,
yeah.
Now this goes back. My gears are turning, like how we make this work. So I brought a purchase and sale with me. I put it in my hoodie. We went to go see the properties. We went back to her place. And in my head, I'm like, holy crap, what do they want for it?
Yeah.
So I was like, what are you guys, looking for these properties? And they gave me the price.
Mm-hmm.
Once they gave me the price, of course you got to negotiate. So I'm going to be honest. I was happy with the price they gave me. So I still wanted to negotiate. Like,
yeah, for sure.
This stuff. So we agree on a price. And I'm like, if I could slow down that time and enjoy again, it would be phenomenal. So I'm hyped up. I bring out the purchase and sale. She's like, oh, you're ready. I was like, well, I always carry one on me.
Just in case.
Boom. Bro, I was writing that thing so quick. I wrote it all out, got it at a phenomenal price, but it needs quite a bit of work.
Okay.
They were, as far as owners, they own this property for like 50 years.
Wow.
They were at a bunch of properties for 50 years. They were at the point where it's becoming too much for us. And a lot of places where they weren't fixing them. Like, a lot of places are at the bottom. You know what I mean? So she's like, this is just the right thing to do. And, you know, this has carried our family for so long. We're hoping, you know, this can do the same for you. And we had a great conversation. I got that purchase and sale signed. And then after that, it didn't stop there. So now I got to figure out how to finance this thing. You know, I don't got X amount cash. It was a good chunk of change. I don't got cash.
Yeah.
So now I got to figure out the down payment that goes along with this, how I'm going to come up with that.
Sure.
And this is something I talk about on my page is lines of credit. Lines of credit is definitely been something that helped me reach the next plateau.
For sure.
When I was a real estate agent, I'm making a good amount of money, so I'm able to put 20% down.
Sure.
And I'm putting this 20% down on these properties. Like, man, you know, I'm gonna run out of money.
Yes.
You know, run out of money. A lot of money you putting down on these. So I'm like, I got to figure other things.
Yeah.
So, you know, you talked about you watch Bigger Pockets. Only thing I kept on hearing about is probably the most popular thing they ever talk about, the bird.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, let me start doing the bird. When I started doing the bird, I started building equity. And then I met the right banker. So I was like to the banker, I was like, hey, I learned about this thing about credit, lines of credit. Can I get one? He was like, yeah, how much you want? I was like, so I said a number. I said a 6-figure number. Let me put it that way. I said a 6-figure number. I was going to be happy with anything. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I said the 6-figure number. He's like, yeah, man, your portfolio is awesome. We could get you that. I was like, oh, shit. So since then, my lines of credit have been going up, and I'm in let me put it, a good space.
Awesome, man.
So I use the line of credit as the down payment for the property. And then I'm using the line of credit to rehab the property.
Okay.
Now, once all that is done, I'll be getting, it'll be appraised. It already got appraised for a good chunk of change. That money's going to pay off the line of credit, and it's going to pay some of the principal down too. So the deal was so good, I was in the deal for no money out of my pocket at all.
Congratulations, bro. And I'm actually glad you shared that story, because I'm currently trying to develop the skill of investing in real estate with no money down. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm glad you shared that story. And thank you for giving us game on the line of credit. It seems like you were able to use it because you've developed a reputation and a solid portfolio that allowed the bank to trust you.
In a relationship with the banker. That's I think that's key. Once the banker gets an idea of how you invest and all this, sky's the limit. And I hear a lot of people talk about they use hard money and private funding.
Yeah.
Which I'm not knocking that. You know, if that's how you're building, that's cool. But I'm like, if I could just build this up, I could just use the bank's money.
For sure.
Think, oh, the bank, you know, you're paying them X amount of money, da 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 da. For my generation, for me, I can't worry about that, because with the bank, I'm partnering with them, and that's how I'm going to build this empire. Now, my kids after won't need to use the bank. You know, it takes that one generation. So I want to go back to one thing you said, sacrifice.
Yes.
I'm sacrificing for my family down the line.
Yes.
To build this empire and not be able to have Ferraris and Lamborghinis and go on vacation every single month. I'm not doing any of that stuff. Every penny's going back into this, where 15 and 20 years, everything is paid off. Now, when the next generation gets these things, and I think this is important, because I don't think my father understood this when he was younger and he had us. Okay. My father, he was like, no, we're not spending money on that. We're not spending money on that. Da, 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 da. You know what I mean? He's like, so I'm going to school being presented a certain type of way. Like I don't come from, I don't come from money.
Sure.
Which is fine. You know what I mean? I'm still going to be able to mix and mingle with kids. And I remember I went to private school. My kids will be known that they're wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
And now they'll be around other wealthy kids.
Mm-hmm.
So now what is something I wanted to obtain is something that's going to be normal in their heads. So what they're looking to obtain is something I can't even fathom even today on this particular day.
Because they started from a much stronger foundation
Yes,
than you have.
that is key. And we tend to look over that, and sometimes you go, oh, he's the rich kid and da 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 da. What are the benefits that we can make fun of that? What are the benefits that come along with that? Mm-hmm. Now you're in these neighborhoods or you're in these spaces with other generations who've had this since the 1500s, and you're side by side with them, learning, getting that knowledge from them. Mm-hmm. That's only going to take you to the next level. That, to me, that's a big thing we don't tend to talk about.
Yeah.
And that's what my goal is. So when we talked about sacrifice, I forgot to add that one in.
Yeah, no, yeah. I like the bigger picture of everything you're saying. Like, it's not just about building wealth, but being able to put your kids in a place where you can expose them to greatness and different things that you weren't exposed to. A quote that I like is exposure leads to expansion.
Yep.
And, I feel like, for example, you weren't exposed to real estate until, I don't know, maybe your older 20s or younger 30s. As a result, you kind of got in the game later, which is nothing wrong with that, but you just wasn't exposed to it. And one of the reasons I like this podcast is because it allows me to explore other topics, and I get to network with great people, and they expose me to things I would never think about, which will allow me to expand. And I think that's what you want to do for your kids, which is awesome, man. My next question for you is, how has having a family impacted your life and the way you do business? Because, one thing I like about you is like you're really big on family, and you seem like you talk about your brother a lot, you talk about your dad, and then I believe you have some kids too, right? Yep. So just in general, how has having a family impacted your life and the way you do business?
Gives you purpose. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Well, if I didn't have kids, I'd be just doing this all for myself. Like, and then what? What? Yeah. Where does this all go? So basically, I'm just doing it to flex, to be wealthy, but to flex. I have no purpose. Yeah. And with the kids, it gives me purpose. To see this morning, I woke up, my daughter come in my room and give me my hat. It's like that. She's about to be 2. Daddy, your hat. That melts your heart. You know what I mean? Like this human being is looking up to me to make sure I love them and I'm create a path for them to enjoy what life is, what's out there for life. Yeah. So it just made me more sharp and made me not take, everything in real estate is a risk. Yeah. High risk, medium risk, low risk. Yeah. I don't need to make high risk anymore because I made those high risks when you were born. Now I'm making smart decisions that are going to carry off for them later on. Yeah. And my brothers are my best friends. Wow. I much rather be with my kids than go to the bar, do any of those outside stuff. Like, I can't wait till they start playing sports. I just want to be there as much as possible for them because I did have kids a little later. I had them, I'm 33, so I had them at 35, 36. So I'm going to be, an older parent. So there's no telling, how much time I have on this earth with them. So for me to give them as much game as possible, and you may relate to this. My dad used to give me so much game when I was young, and I'd be like, what are you talking about?
You didn't care.
Yeah, I was like, he doesn't even know what he's talking about. Yeah. And then I become an adult. I'm like, dang. Yeah, I'm like, he was right about everything he was saying. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. If I'm able to do that when they're all young, you're building a foundation for them. When they get older, they're already trained to think a certain way because daddy and mommy was able to give them that message earlier. So whether I'm here or not, they have that foundation built.
And it's still the habits. Yeah. Man, it's funny. You talked about, your dad giving you game and, you're too young and too arrogant to actually want to take it. One of the biggest games that he gave me that I kind of slept on, I didn't do until I got older, was he always kept harping like, yo, you have to read, bro. You got to keep reading. And, you know, when you go to high school, like, they make you read all these boring books that, like, you don't care about. So you don't develop that. Yeah, you don't develop the habit of reading. And then it wasn't until I started picking up reading for my own interest, whether it's to gain finances or to better myself spiritually, I started to realize the impact of reading. And I've started to make the correlation that the most successful people in the world have developed the habit of reading. And so, like, it's kind of like he kept telling me about it when I was in my teens, but I didn't care until my mid-20s. Then I'm like, oh man, like, he's really on to something. That's just one jewel. And it's just funny because, like, I feel like our parents do that a lot, but when we're young, we're too arrogant to want to really take on what they're saying.
So,
you know?
If you don't mind, I know this is your interview with me. I'm going to ask
you. Man, you can, yeah. It's better, yeah.
Yeah, so where are you at as far as investing? Are you still looking for stuff or?
Yeah, no, okay, yeah, man. I didn't disclose that, man. But yeah, so I am into my third property.
Nice. Okay.
So, well, I got 2 properties. I'm seeking my third property right now. And after doing this podcast and speaking to so many different multifamily investors, the biggest thing that I'm kind of learning that has allowed them to expand is y'all, like the line of credit example, y'all finding creative ways to finance your deals. And currently, that's where my mind space is at. I'm trying to find creative ways to find deals and then finance them. I think the biggest thing that has stopped me from expanding was, you know, I'm a pharmacist, and just like your income was realtor, my income was, you know, pharmacist, but I'm kind of feeling like I have to save up to get there, and I'm trying to find other ways to expedite that process, you know what I'm saying? And so currently I'm looking for my third property, and I'm trying to tell myself that from going forward, like, every property I buy, I want to put as little money down as possible, you know, that from mine, like my own money.
The first property you purchased, was that a single family, multi-family?
Yeah, they were both duplexes. The first property I bought was an FHA loan.
Okay, what about the second one?
That one was like the conventional 20%, and then once I did that, I was bankrupt. I'm like, I mean, like, in the long term, it's been, you know, you kind of know how it is. Like, in the long term, it stabilizes. And looking back, do I regret buying it? No, but I don't want to have to feel like I'm bankrupt every time I buy a property.
No, but
you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I talked about that also. So, how long ago was your first one when you purchased?
About like 4 years ago, and then the second one was about 2 years ago.
And that was in Atlanta?
That's what you said? No. Because so I was in Philadelphia, Gus. I lived in Philly, and that's where I started my portfolio. I moved to Atlanta because I just love the city. I love Atlanta. Atlanta's a great city. I also think there's a lot more potential and appreciation in Atlanta. The properties I bought in Pennsylvania, they're doing, like, they're good. I just see so much better opportunity in Atlanta personally. Yeah.
So you the first one you brought 4 years ago, so that would push us right around COVID, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So did you buy it on the market or was it off market?
That one was on the market, and the MLS was on the market. Currently,
what's your now?
Like around, like, the first one around like 230, but I brought it for like 160. So
okay.
Yeah, you know.
And then what about the second one?
The second one is like, how much is that one worth? Around the same, like 225, like, you know what I'm saying? And then I kind of brought that for, like, you know, so I'm long-term building, you know what I'm saying? And I'm happy, but I'm trying to find more off-market deals, and, you know, that's kind of where my headspace is at, you know? That's,
okay,
you know.
I'm going to recommend this.
Sure, yeah. I'm all ears. Yeah.
You probably heard this, so it's not like some new sauce, but
yeah,
there's an app called Deal Machine. I don't know if you've ever heard of it.
I've never heard of it. Right now. Yep.
Yeah, so on that app, I would try to show it, but I don't think it will come up. But you can drive for dollars. I'm sure you heard of drive.
Yeah.
Yep. So when you drive for dollars, then you put these places into your Deal Machine, and then what I do is I normally send like letters to them. I send out a lot of letters. Let me put it that way. A lot.
How much is a lot? Because like thousands? Okay. Over 400. Okay.
Nah, to be honest, probably way more than that. That was probably like a couple months ago. So probably close to like 600-700.
Okay.
I'm sending those letters and they go out, I get them on different periods. Some go out 25 days, some go out 45 days.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I want to send those letters out, because just because someone receives a letter one time doesn't mean they're ready to sell.
For sure.
What you're doing is those letters are working for you.
Yes.
You're staying in front of those individuals. So if it comes for that time, that individual ever wants to sell their property, they're gonna reach out to you. Whether you're one of the options, you're gonna be amongst one of the options.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So now, I think the hardest part is finding the deal.
Yes.
If you find the right deal,
yes,
putting the money. So this has happened, and I just told the story. I was able to find the 15 unit, and I'm thinking, how am I gonna finance this deal?
Sure.
Find the deal. People are gonna come to you to help you finance the deal. When I say people, I mean banks. I mean, all different types of people. They're going to be private funding. So the other thing I would share is forcing appreciation. So I was at the beginning, the first property I bought, even though I got it for a good price, it was more turnkey.
Mm-hmm.
When you force appreciation, now the line of credit becomes a bigger option. So, for example, I bought a duplex. I bought it for $80K. I think I'm all in at like $125. It appreciated for $208.
Wow.
So there's a lot of equity in that building. So maybe I could get like 40, 50,000.
Is that why you were asking like how much my appreciated?
Yes,
so you could know how much
yes,
I can actually got you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because when you start leveraging and people, and I take you for being a smart man.
Yeah.
Once you're good at numbers, that leveraging doesn't really put fear in my heart. You know what I mean? Because when I take the money and I buy something and I refi it, and then that goes back where it was, I'm starting from zero again.
Yes.
So I'm able to build my portfolio a lot faster.
Yeah.
Or there's other ways you could build your full portfolio. A lot of people are doing subject twos or
seller financing.
Those are I've done owner financing also.
Mm-hmm.
But the more knowledge you're going to get from having, just like you said, from having conversations with individuals like me, you're going to be like, okay. And then after it's done, you could still reach out to us because we had this sit down, we had this talk.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Gus, I seen that you were talking about this. I'm going to be open to answering you back. You know what I mean? Or not just me, but anyone.
Yeah.
Be able to help you.
For sure.
The biggest thing I think is adding value, the burn. There's a reason why people are talking about this. Because when you force the appreciation, then there's options to go to the bank and get money. So I'm going to tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
So out of that 15 units, I'm selling 6 of them.
Okay.
And the reason I'm selling 6 of them because I'm going to focus in on the 9.
Okay.
So that 6 I'm getting a large chunk of change. Mm-hmm. And if you don't, and not to you, but for other people who are watching, if you don't believe me, you can check out my stories because I'm going to be posting it soon. With that money, I'm going to pay off my first property.
Okay.
So I'm going to own my first property free and clear.
Congrats.
Then I'm going to go to the bank, and I've already had this discussion. I want a revolving line of credit. And she's like, what do you think the place is worth? I think it's worth, $450 on a good end, and on the low end, maybe $400. She's like, okay, what we will be able to do is give you 75% of a line of credit off for that amount. We just take first position on that property. I'm still not paying the mortgage on it, but you could use this line of credit. So whatever I use, I'll be paying on that.
Yeah.
So that's roughly, we'll just say $300,000 because I was able to move things around. Now with that $300,000, I could buy something for maybe $80,000, put $20,000 into it, sell it, make maybe $100,000, or I could buy something at $80,000, fix it up with $30,000. I'm all in $110. And I may refi it and they may appraise it at $250. Now I got $140 in equity. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't know if I did the math there right, but
no, but I get the point.
But this is how you got to keep pushing it to get the equity at the beginning. If you're able to do that, then doors open and banks want to work with you.
Yeah, what I seem to be is like, when you leverage yourself in the beginning, there may be a cost. But I see it seems like the gain, or where you really gain from it, is the ability to hold the property for a long time. That's where everything starts to really accrue, and like you start to win, and it makes sense to do the leverage in the beginning, right?
Correct. And then also, so I got single families and duplexes. I'm not keeping those forever. Those are deals I was able to get. So I'll take those deals, get some lines of credit, get more properties. When we get the next boom like we just got, and I'm not banking this being 5 years. It could be 5, 10, 20,
whatever.
30. I don't know when it's going to be. But when that next time does come, those single families, those duplexes will be sold. And I'll be able to go ahead and upgrade those buildings into way bigger buildings because now I have a down payment. Sure,
man. Yeah, man. I love everything you're saying, and honestly, it's inspiring me to, to put my foot out there and get started. I've spoken to quite a few multifamily investors, and I'm blessed to do that. And a constant thing everyone is telling me is like, yo, bro, don't worry about the finance and don't care about that. Just find the deal, bro. Find that deal. And then once you find that deal, like, you'll figure everything else. And I'm going to be honest, bro, like, financially, I'm not going to say I'm rich, but I'm doing well. And I feel like I have a really good credit. So, like, I kind of have no excuse not to really find those lines of or whatever I think there's a lot of people who will be willing to work with me financially. So the most important thing, it sounds like, is actually finding that deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So, man, when you hear the phrase "the marathon continues," what does that mean to you, my guy?
This is a journey, man. It's not a sprint. You know what I mean? And that's obviously, if you know, it's a Nipsey Hussle
for sure
quote. Who, the thing, Nipsey, I used to listen to his music here and there.
Yeah.
But when he died, I really dived into his music heavily.
Same.
And then I was like, man, he's saying some shit. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, it's like we took him for granted when he was on Earth. And now when he passed, we're like, wow, he's really talking some. But what I get from that is it's a slow build. Yeah. And you're not going to get all your cheering and your audience going for you. What you're going to get is, okay, that's good. Do it again.
Yes.
Yeah. And as long as you can keep doing that, then when it's all said and done, you may not even see the flowers. You may be gone. Yeah. The flowers will be given, or the flowers are given behind closed doors. So I never look at this especially with real estate. Real estate is not a quick get rich quick scheme. This is
a long-term game.
Yes. This is, you won't see the fruits. I could talk about all this. I got the equity here, or I get here. I'm only on year 4. How I'm going to look at things and what I'm getting now with year 4 compared to year 15 or 20 is going to be light years more. So
For sure, man. I completely agree with you with the whole Nipsey thing. We didn't talk much music here, but I'm a huge music head. Like, I can talk music all day. And I was just like you, man. Like, I heard Nipsey, I heard some of his mixtapes, but I didn't really get into him once he died, and that kind of made me feel corny. Like, man, now I'm paying attention to him. But then I started listening to Victory Lap and the songs like "Millionaire While You're Young" and just the grind, And then even more importantly, when I started listening to his interviews, man, I just loved how he carried himself, bro. He carried himself with so much grace, but he was also able to have that cool, man. Like, I think it's such a hard thing for like Black men and just people to do like uplifting, powerful things while being cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think you can have that deadly combination. Like, it makes you so much cooler. And I think he was able to encapsulate that, like, be able to resonate with the people while actually making business moves and inspiring others and making great music.
Mm-hmm. You're seeing that from a lot of, especially like, I don't listen to him on music wise, but like, we're seeing a lot of artists now taking that mindset as far as, we're just more than artists,
music,
business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
for sure,
I'm happy that those artists, Yo Gotti, Rick Ross, those artists are out there. So we're thinking a little bit different.
And shout out to Jay-Z for creating the blueprint.
He's the original. He's the
one who I think he's the one who started it off and made people just really believe that they can, what's that called? I'm not a businessman. I'm a business.
How old are you? I was going to say Jay-Z, but I didn't know how old you were. So
I'm 28, bro, but I'm an old soul, bro. I'm telling you, I can talk hip hop all day. I don't want to just digress it into that. But yeah, man, I love hip hop and music and just whatever. But yeah, Jay-Z, man, is yeah, he's the GOAT, man. So man, bro, I've loved this conversation, bro. You're incredibly inspiring. I love the energy. And I'm grateful to have met you and networked with you and had this conversation. My last question, well, I have like two more questions, but my next question for you, my guy, is what is the ultimate goal with real estate investing? Why, what do you see as like the long-term vision, or what do you hope to accomplish by continuing to build your portfolio and acquire so much properties? What's the long-term goal or the ultimate goal?
All right, so I got a short-term goal. It's to hit 100 units.
Okay.
When I started, I said I'm going to hit 100 units.
Sure.
But as we know, with any goal, you start. I'm a little over halfway. I said I got 57. You start getting to that goal, and you're like, that goal may not be big enough. So once you start leveling up, you start seeing new things. You know what I mean? I'd be here sitting lying if I could tell you in 20 years what the goal would be. What in the short term, what I could speak to is continue to do what I'm doing. Continue to be hungry. Continue to want to work hard. Continue to share the information I'm able to get and share with the people. A lot of people weren't sharing this information with me. I had to go to certain groups outside of my area to retrieve this information. Now I brought it back to the area. They're like, how you know about that? How you know about this? You know what I mean? So I think the goal at the end of the day is just be the best that I can be.
Love it, bro.
If I can do that, that's all that matters.
Yeah. The great Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is not an act, but a habit." And I'm on the same. I'm on the same wave with you, bro. I am trying to just make sure I'm showing up to everything, whether it's doing this podcast consistently, whether it's buying properties consistently. I'm just trying to be as consistent as I can with the hopes of inspiring others. So it sounds like we have a similar vision. And for Gus, bro, for people who really enjoy this podcast or, maybe want to reach out to you, what are ways people can reach out to you? And is there anything you would like to promote on this podcast?
So I'm on, best way probably to reach out to me is on Facebook or Instagram. The thing about Instagram is you'll see people with a bunch of followers, and I don't think they'd be real. So you may look on my page. I got 1,500 followers on there. Yeah, and that's fine. If I never get the big following, that's cool. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to pay for following. And what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to lie to the people. So and I say that to say I'm easy to message. I'll message you back. We link fairly easy.
Yeah.
When you can reach out to someone and you heard something that they like or something that resonated with you and they hit you back, there's no better feeling. There's a gentleman, his name is Welby. He's on, he's on social media. I just, he did the Bigger Pockets interview before me. I was like, yo, bro, I like the stuff you're doing. I'm about to do Bigger Pockets interview. He messaged me back. I'm like, dang, looks like you got mad followers. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
We build a relationship now, and we've been talking. So,
bro,
if it's not me, reach out to anyone that you can. If they reach back out to you, God created it to happen.
Yeah, exactly, bro. The worst thing they could say is no. And you don't understand. Like, I've literally been doing this with this podcast. I've just been reaching out to a bunch of people. And the type of people who have agreed to meet with me, I'm honored and blessed, man. It's just incredible, man. And I'm hoping to continue expanding my network and meeting more great people.
This one gentleman you interviewed, I reached out to him too.
Hey, who was it? Just kidding.
The dude from Tennessee, the cowboy.
Oh, Tyler Kubler.
Yeah, the commercial.
Yeah.
I reached out to him too because I did see him on Brandon Turner. Yeah, Brandon Turner's page. I reached out to him. He answered me back. I was like, yo, this got to be a real dude. Like,
he's a real one, man.
Yeah.
No, these are Tyler Kubler. I was super impressed when he reached out to me, but seemed to take a liking to me, and it just goes to show, man, like, you don't know who's out there who's willing to help you, man. And that's the thing I am constantly learning. I think God has blessed me with being personable. I don't know what it is. People just come in, really like talking to me and want to give me, and I'm just like, thank you, God, man. Like, I appreciate it. And like, there's just so many. I think sometimes because of where we grew up, or maybe we have a tough background, we grow up thinking that not everyone is trying to help you or everyone is against you. But you'll be amazed if you simply ask how many people are willing to offer their time, you know?
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, man, Gus, honestly, this is a banger podcast. I love talking to you. I'm definitely going to be intentional about trying to keep in touch. And thank you for your time.
No problem. It's been a pleasure.